This afternoon, federal judge Robert Lasnik issued a temporary restraining order blocking the U.S. government from allowing the distribution of 3D printable guns. The untraceable ghost guns are made by a Texas company called Defense Distributed, who last month reached a settlement with the Trump administration and was about to repost the schematics for the weapons online. Attorneys general from 8 states, including Washington, filed a lawsuit to keep that from happening. But Attorney General Bob Ferguson's office didn't go after the gun maker, instead went after the Trump administration. His attorneys argued the U.S. government violated procedure because it didn't notify Congress or the Justice Department of the settlement. And Judge Lasnik agreed, with the clock ticking. The Texas company was going to post the plans for the guns tomorrow.
That means that for any entity or individual to post that information online is illegal under federal law, just as it was before the federal government made the unfortunate decision to allow it. So we go back to the status quo before the federal government made this decision. So someone can try to post it online, but it is illegal, and one suffers the consequences of being in violation of a very serious federal law.
Earlier today, President Trump tweeted, "I am looking into 3D plastic guns being sold to the public. Already spoke to the NRA. Doesn't seem to make much sense. We've reached out to Defense Distributed and have not heard back. Keep in mind the restraining order is only temporary." Judge Lasnik warned the case has serious First Amendment implications, questioning whether the federal government can legally block a private company from posting information on the internet. In the newsroom, Alyssa Hahn, King 5 News.